Okay,
Professor.
thank you very much. Hello, everybody again. I hope it will be a successful symposium. The symposium will be focused on artificial intelligence and communication studies, but as Bahar said, the issue is very important and serious, of course. Artificial intelligence has entered our lives and has begun to affect almost all aspects of life. Scientific and intellectual life also gets its share. On the one hand, we have to focus on the transformative impact of artificial intelligence on human and social life and communication forms. And on the other hand, we should try to understand its transformative impact on the scientific disciplines, especially communication science. Both are very important and it will be discussed on both in the symposium. For today's, on the one hand, we will discuss the impact of artificial intelligence on communication sciences, and on the other hand, we will look at its transformative effects on human and social communication. You know, the development and use of artificial intelligence-based technologies has affected communication sciences as well as all scientific disciplines. Therefore, we should rethink on the concepts and theories that form the basis of communication science and communication studies. Artificial intelligence and digitalization bring both opportunities and challenges. In order to increase opportunities and overcome challenges, the theories and concepts developed so far in the field need to be reviewed and updated according to new developments and requirements. Yes, today artificial intelligence-based communication can be called AIBC in short, has begun to replace computer-mediated communication as it's known, CMC in short. In the 20th century, CMC has created new forms of human communication and interaction. And now, in the 21st century, AIBC is creating new forms of human communication and interaction. All of this will be discussed generally or specifically in the symposium for 2 days. Artificial intelligence has affected human communication from many different angles. So far, we were thinking on human communication, then human machine communication, and now we are witnessing machine to machine communication. It's a very important point. This requires the reconsideration of communication sciences from various perspectives and necessary the development of new concepts and theories, because the existing concepts and theories developed so far are not sufficient to understand and explain communication in the age of artificial intelligence. It can be said that AIBC is much more effective on human communication than CMC because we use computers mostly for information storage and transfer. Computer may be an extension of human memory. However, AI has developed as an extension of our brains and become part of our mental functions. Therefore, we can say that the effect of AI on human communication is much deeper and more transformative than computer. It seems that AI will affect communication studies in various ways. New concepts, new theories, and of course, new methodological techniques are needed to understand its transformative impact on human communication. On the other hand, artificial intelligence also functions as an area of overlap between all scientific disciplines. The field of communication was already an interdisciplinary field by own character, but with the introduction of artificial intelligence, this interdisciplinary feature becomes much more evident. Okay? From now on, this interdisciplinarity will be much more important in both communication studies and communication education. Artificial intelligence is becoming a crossroads of all disciplines. communication will be the most effective and transitional areas of this crossroads. In this symposium, during 2 days, communication sciences, communication studies, and communication education in the age of AI will be discussed in many angles. On the other hand, the effects of AI on human and social communication will be analyzed. I hope that the symposium will make significant contributions to both the field of communication and the social science in general. The two universities did a great job, I think. I would like to thank my colleagues in Turkey and Portugal who organized the symposium. I would also like to thank the academics and researchers who contributed to the symposium with their papers. And also, I would like to thank our esteemed keynote speakers for their very valuable presentations. I wish it will be a successful symposium. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor, for this important remark. Now, I would like to invite Professor Daniela Fonseca, Pro-Rector for Culture and Documentation Services in UTAD, in representation of UTAD Rector Emilia Gomes.
Thank
the
you.
stage is yours, Professor.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Günaydın. Günaydın. I don't know if it is pronounced like this, but
it is perfect. Yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to greet the rector of Üsküdar University, Nasife Güngör. I greet all the authorities present, all the researchers, teachers, and students as well. All the nationalities, all the countries, and their researchers. And on the behalf of the rector of UTAD, Professor Emilia Gomes, it is a great pleasure and a great honor that I'm here for the open session of the new paradigms of in communication technologies and humanity symposium. The program is very ambitious with excellent current topics that invite us all to reflect more deeply on what and who we are and what we may expect from new technologies. I would like to emphasize since the beginning the keynote session with Professor Helena Souza, which was my professor as well, and emphasize the topic that she's going to present: artificial intelligence, regulation, and journalism, a pragmatic approach, and also Alil. Now I know that I am not pronouncing.
You
well.
can skip that.
I'm sorry. That is going to present from inquiry to probability, the transformation of knowledge and education in the age of artificial intelligence. Well, what can I say? We are facing, and I didn't really prepare a speech with so many quality as rector of your university did, but obviously these topics are very important for all of us as citizens and as well as communication researchers. New trends in digital communication are evolving and are demanding from society some sort of response. We are facing things that we were not used to. The visual and video content, the use of short video, the TikTok, the Instagram Reels are continuing to grow. The broadcast seminars, webinars, in fact, are becoming more popular, but still remains the question, are they more important than real-time interaction? Well, humanity in the symposium seems to be also a very good topic that we should all reflect on. Personalized communication is becoming obviously essential. but personalized experiences and messages are they real time interaction. Well, I guess we have a lot of things, to think about in these 2 amazing days, and I think I should, and my message is really very short. I should congratulate all the researchers, all the staff, all the organization committees, both Portuguese and Turkish one. I think they have done a great job, and I hope that it will be a very, very good experience for all the people involved in this symposium. This is pretty much it. I just would love to thank once more, especially, and I'm sorry for that, but I have to emphasize the work of Portuguese colleagues that, in fact, are from my department. So I would like to emphasize the work of Fabio Ribeiro and Orquídea Ribeiro, and also, obviously, ask them to also thank the Turkish committee, because I think it's a very, very good symposium. And just for ending my greetings presentation, and a very short one, as I said before, I would like to wish that Uskadar and UTAD can eventually do more things together, and projects and symposiums, events, as far as they both want to do it, and I hope they will. Thank you so much, and enjoy the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. We hope we will do many collaborations together in the future. Thank you for your important speech. Now I would like to invite Professor Susana Fontes, Head of Department of Humanities, Arts and Communication at UTAD.
Thank you. Hello. Before I begin, I'd like to greet the Rector of Üsküdar University, Professor Nazif Güngör. Dear participants, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this event. It is a very important one, I hope, with a title that is a very important topic: New Paradigms in Communication Technologies and Humanities. That will be the first joint congress between UTAD and Üsküdar University. It will be a fully online conference that marks a significant milestone in our academic collaboration, bringing together experts, researchers, students from different backgrounds, and explore one of the most important topics of our time: the impact of artificial intelligence in our society. As it was said before, and it was a very important, there were important information before. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the world as we know it. It is transforming communication, culture, technology, and also many other fields. It definitely presents incredible opportunities, but also, and this is the other point, but also raises important ethical, social, and also technological challenges that require important discussion. And also it's important to think about multidisciplinary perspectives. I'm sure that this conference or this symposium will be a space, an important space for a dialogue, for critical reflection and knowledge exchange, allowing us to understand better, to explore the complexities of artificial intelligence integration in the various domains of our life, as I said: culture and communication and technology, and many others. I would also like, as my colleague said and did, to take this opportunity to sincerely congratulate my colleagues from UTAD and also the entire organizing committee for their dedication, for their efforts, hard work in organizing this international conference and making it possible to bring together experts and researchers from very different countries, which is a very important thing to do, to discuss such an important topic. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your effort, as I said, and also enthusiasm. That is another important thing when we do these kind of things together in organizing this important symposium. With such a large, I'm seeing here that we have almost 50 participants, audience, I'm confident that this conference will be a memorable and highly educational event, offering a unique opportunity to explore key research perspectives on this very important topic. Before I close, I would like to say again, and I'd like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you. And thank you for your participation, and I wish everyone a successful and fruitful two-day conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for this insightful comments. Now, I would like to invite Professor Süleyman İrvan, Senior Advisor to the Rector and Head of the Journalism Department at Üsküdar University. Professor.
Thank you, Bahar. Dear colleagues, students, and guests, it's a great honor to welcome all of you to this symposium about artificial intelligence. Today, we are at a critical moment in history. Almost every other day, we read news articles about the enormous possibilities or threats posed by artificial intelligence applications. We might call this period as the age of artificial intelligence. We need to learn how best to use these novel applications for the sake of society. This symposium aims to explore the profound impacts of artificial intelligence on communication, media, journalism, advertising, etc. By bringing scholars together from around the world, it will foster interdisciplinary discussions on the possibilities and challenges posed by artificial intelligence shaping the future of humanity. I hope this important academic cooperation between UTAD and Üsküdar University will continue. First, I must thank Bahar and Esra from Üsküdar University and Fabio from UTAD for making this symposium happen. I also thank all the participants for being with us today, and I wish a productive and inspiring symposium. And also, I am going to present a research on the impact of artificial intelligence on journalism, how journalism students see artificial intelligence, and I will present the results of my study tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your insightful remarks. Now, I would like to invite Professor Orquídea Ribeiro, coordinator of the CSANT, I hope I'm reading this right, delegation in UTAD.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to greet the members of this virtual table, or the director of Üsküdar University, my colleague Daniela Fonseca, Susana Fontes, and Süleyman İrvan. My Turkish is not really good. And I would also like to greet all the participants of this symposium, either presenters, researchers, students, or just following the different communications. I am honored to be here representing our research center through its delegation at UTAD, CICANT, which stands for Center for Research in Applied Communication, Culture and New Technologies, and is anchored at our partner University Lusófona. We have a delegation which include the colleagues from the areas of cultural and communication sciences. And at our research center, we aim to create a unit which will allow for the integration and harnessing of the research activities that promote theoretical, innovative and applied interdisciplinary research crossing media, society, literacies, arts, culture, heritage, digital art technologies, and of course, artificial intelligence. So this symposium on new paradigms in communication technology and humanities, with the focus on artificial intelligence, technological, social, and cultural ties, and all the contributions or papers listed in the program booklet mirror our research center's inter and transdisciplinary activities and goals. The program is diverse. There's everything. There's a thing for everyone to like and follow, and it covers many perspectives to approach the impact of artificial intelligence on all research areas and in everyday life. So I'm not going to go on and on. So I would like to congratulate the organizing committee to on all the work that they have done up to here and that they will do in the future. And I would also like to point out that this partnership between Üsküdar University and UTAD is started with started on a very positive note, and I hope that this will continue, even though we are 3 hours apart in time and not in distance. And I wish everyone a good participation during the 2 days, hoping that knowledge sharing prevails. So thank you, and have a nice next 2 days full of information and focusing on different approaches to artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. We certainly also to widen our collaborations in the future. Thank you very much for your important remarks. And I would like to thank all the professors for their valuable remarks. We will be starting the first keynote session in approximately 15 minutes. 11:45 in Turkish time, and I think 8:45 in Greenwich time and Portugal time. So now we will have a short break, and I will invite all participants to join the first keynote session and listen to our speakers' insightful discussions in 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good morning once again. Let's move on to the keynote session. First one. I believe Professor Elena is already with us, and I kindly ask Professor Elena to put her camera on so that we can try if the sharing screening possibility is available. Just before moving on, Professor Elena. Okay, sorry for this little delay. I will ask the staff to give permission to the profile 351562 to share the screen, okay? Because that's professional. And after that, you will be able to share screen and talk with us. Okay. Hello, Professor.
Hello,
Hello.
Professor Fabio. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm so sorry for this technical difficulty,
No
but the
problem.
system was not allowing me to get in and to be with you.
Can we just test if everything is okay with the sharing screen with
Okay,
you?
can I try
Yeah.
sharing?
Please.
Okay, so let me see how I can find. Let me see. This is it's a full screen. Let me see if I can find a way to look for. Okay, let me see if I can first bring this. Can you see this?
No, we are not seeing. Did you click on sharing below?
Yes, compartilhar, sharing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, right now I think we are seeing. Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, perfect.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. So everything is
Full
correct.
screen or just
When I move on to your speech, I will ask you to reshare again, please. Okay?
Oh,
Okay? Just make
okay.
a small introduction here, okay? But I'll be back in a minute, okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Very happy to be here. It's an honor to participate in this conference. It is a very timely conference, and it's also a necessary conference. So I'm really grateful to Professor Fábio Ribeiro for inviting me. It's really a great pleasure. I would also like to say a special word to Professor Nazit Gungor, Rector of Uskudar University, and also to Professor Daniela Fonseca in representation of the UTAD Rector, Professor Carlos Assunção, President of the Social and Human Sciences School of UTAD, Professor Susana Fontes, Head of the Department of Humanities, Arts and Communication, also from UTAD, Professor Suleiman Irvan, a Senior Advisor to the Rector and also Head of the Journalism Department of Uskudar University, and also to Professor Urquídia Ribeiro, Coordinator of the SICANT delegation in UTAD. I am sure all these professors had a pivotal role in the support and organization of this event, and I'm also very grateful. I also like to express my gratitude to everybody who is attending this conference. It is really a special moment. It's very important to discuss artificial intelligence. In my particular case, I'm addressing the case of journalism in particular, but also try to provide a clear vision of the challenges artificial intelligence is presenting to us today. So maybe if it's okay, Professor Fábio, I could now try to share the.
Go on. Thank you very much. Yes.
Can you see it now?
Not in a while.
Let me. And now can you see?
Yeah, perfect.
Can you see it?
Put it in full screen, please.
Full screen. Okay, let me try to close this so I can see this cup here. And
Yeah, perfect.
and now can you see it?
Perfect. Yes, Professor.
Thank you very much. So basically, I am addressing artificial intelligence, regulation, and journalism. I'm also trying to take, let's say, a more pragmatic approach. This was also one of the advices of Professor Fábio Ribeiro. So I'm also speaking on behalf of the ERC, the Media Regulatory Entity in Portugal. And this is an area that concerns us. So I'm also sharing some of the concerns that we are addressing. So I'm dividing the presentation basically in 5 different points. First, I'll try to highlight the relevance of artificial intelligence in communication industries, media and communication industries. Artificial intelligence is here, so we need to address it. There's no way we can pretend that this is not happening. So this is a good moment to try to explain the relevance of artificial intelligence in different sectors. As I said, I will address journalism because artificial intelligence poses a number of problems for journalism in terms of regulation and in terms of its quality. So this is something I'll try to do in a short period of time, but I will try to address the main concerns. Obviously, speaking from the point of view of a regulatory entity, I'm concerned with what has been done so far. So I will present a number of regulatory tools and legislation. So one can see how far we have gone in terms of artificial intelligence regulation. And then I will address very briefly a case based on the experience of the ERC in terms of regulation of artificial intelligence. We still don't have a lot of experience in this area, but I will try to present briefly one case. And then, of course, I will try to mention, even if very briefly, a few challenges we have ahead. So this is basically how I intend to organize this presentation. And then, of course, we will have time, I hope, for questions. So I'm moving forward to this first slide. It looks a bit difficult because it has a lot of information. Obviously, I'm not expecting anyone to memorize or to look into detail to all these data, but my idea is to make sure that that we can use in a very clear way the information that OECD has provided, and this is very recent information from OECD. And this frame explains the different economic sectors. So we can see, for example, in the beginning, food products, textiles, and if you have whites in front of these sectors, it means that these sectors are low intensive in terms of AI use, in terms of the use of artificial intelligence. When you see the whites, it means that the level of intensity of artificial intelligence is quite low. If you see, let's say, a light blue, it means that it's relatively or comparatively higher, but still not very high. The dark blues are the areas of very intensive, or at least most intensive, use of artificial intelligence. So if you look at this first column, you look at sectors like food, textile, wood and paper, chemicals, and you don't see a very strong use of artificial intelligence. You have a dark blue on pharmaceuticals, at least in terms of human capital. And then in areas like electrical equipment and machinery, you have some use. But it's particularly when you get to media, telecommunications, and IT services that you can see a strong, or at least in comparative terms, use of artificial intelligence. So even if this is, let's say, a quite full image in terms of information, if you try to focus on the darker segments, you can see that telecommunications, IT, and IT services, media, and telecommunications are the areas where artificial intelligence is most prominent today. To try to reduce, let's say, the level of complexity of this first image, I have extracted these three sectors of intense use of artificial intelligence. And you can see that in these areas, media, telecommunications, and IT services, there is a high level of human capital. That means that artificial intelligence implies a lot of jobs. So in comparative terms, there's quite a lot of jobs related with artificial intelligence. There is also a lot of patents or AI-related patents. Also in terms of the adoptions of artificial intelligence considering barriers such as costs and regulations. We also see quite strong artificial intelligence exposure here, and also in terms of the share of companies or the number of companies within these sectors using artificial intelligence. You can also see that in these areas of media, telecommunications, and artificial intelligence, there is quite a significant number of companies using artificial intelligence. Obviously, this is all in comparative terms with other sectors. So this kind of introduction basically aims to point out that artificial intelligence is here. And if it's here, we need to address it, and we need to try to deal with this in the best way possible. This graphic also shows the number of patents as a share by sector on a country basis. So here again, you see that in comparative terms, we have a very significant number of artificial intelligence patents in the sectors I have mentioned before. Media, of course, this concept of media also includes software within the media sphere, but still we have again media, we have IT services, and we have telecommunications. So this graphic reinforces what we have been saying so far. Within the wider economic spectrum, we have the more technological areas using artificial intelligence in a very significant way. And in particular, according to the OECD 2024 data, these three sectors are telecommunication, IT services, and the media. So having said this, obviously, this use of artificial intelligence has ethical, quality, and economic issues and challenges. And in terms of journalism, I would like to present here a catastrophist perspective. In journalism, artificial intelligence can be used as a tool for efficiency, it can be used as a tool for quality, and it can be used as a way of supporting business strategies. This is a possibility, but it can also be used very differently. So there are risks, and this is something I would like to highlight today. And I'm going to present some of these risks, some of these challenges. So in terms of ethical and quality challenges, probably the very first point I'd like to present is the question of transparency in the use of artificial intelligence systems. Does it matter if news, if a story is written by a machine or by a human being? I think it does, and I think readers or viewers should know if a given journalistic piece is done by whom. Obviously, this is related with ethical issues and the ontological issues. So transparency matters, and people should know. People have the right to know if a given story is prepared by a machine or by a human being, or in cooperation of machines and human beings. So this is one point. Another aspect that is also a relevant challenge is the question of the quality of the input data. Obviously, if the data that is being used to train the artificial intelligence system is not quality data, the output cannot be very good. So the quality of the output depends on the quality of the input or the quality of the data. And this is really critical. So one must be very careful on the training systems and the quality of the data that is being used. Then we have the issues of stereotypes, and this is obviously articulated with the quality of the data. Models replicate existing social biases. So this will happen in terms of racial issues, in terms of gender issues. If the data that is being used to train artificial intelligence systems expresses stereotypes, the end result is also going to reinforce these pre-existing stereotypes. Then we have something that the technicians call hallucinations. Models may identify absurd patterns and confuse correlations with the causal consequences. So this is a problem, probably not still very clear, but the huge amount of data that is being used sometimes for reasons that are not fully clear, express totally absurd results. So this is also a concern. Another problem or another challenge are the well-known deepfakes. This basically means that based on the naked eye, we cannot necessarily understand if a given image or a given information is true or not, if it's done by a machine or not. So this poses an epistemic problem. We have the information, but we know little about its reliability. So this can be very problematic. Now, trying to address, even if very briefly, some economic challenges and concerns. Ownership and copyright, it's an obvious problem. This has been discussed many times. There are issues related to the ownership of the data. There are also issues related with the fair remuneration of authors, and also potential disruption to the production chain. We know that some media companies has been complaining, saying that their information is being used to train models without authorization, and there are also court issues. So ownership and copyrights are obviously also unethical, but an economic issue. And there are also concerns in relation to advertising markets. Some artificial intelligence companies are planning, or there are some intentions to sell advertising space on their interfaces. If this develops, it represents further fragmentation of attention and dispersion of advertising for more screens or more spaces. And this obviously will not have a positive impact in the so-called traditional media. So in a way, artificial intelligence might aggravate the media sector crisis. So these are challenges, these are difficulties that we are facing. And now I'd like to present some of the actions that have been taken in order to address some of these issues and difficulties. These are relatively recent tools, legal tools or non-binding tools. I will just mention a few. We have the Paris Charter on Artificial Intelligence and Journalism. This was approved in November 2023. It is a charter drawn up by representatives of the media and the journalism community. There are concerns with the right information, independent journalism, the quality of the news media in this area, and in this charter, which is available online, you can look for it. You can read these ethical principles that journalists have drawn, and it's a relevant piece well, it's not legislation, it's a guiding tool, but it is an important tool for the media and for journalism when using artificial intelligence systems. So this is the Paris Charter. We have also a regulatory framework of the Council of Europe. The Council of Europe is also concerned with artificial intelligence, and it has also published a practical guide to news media organizations, states, technology providers, and digital platforms that disseminate news, detailing basically how artificial intelligence systems should be used to support the production of journalism. This is also a steering document, and it's a quite relevant one, even if this particular one, the Framework Convention on Artificial Intelligence and Human Rights, Democracy and the Rule of Law, is the very first legally binding international treaty. This is also developed by the Council of Europe, and it has clear guidances relating to states. States must ensure activities within the life cycle of artificial intelligence systems, make sure that they comply with a set of fundamental principles. They should think and consider remedies, procedural rights and safeguards. It also addresses risks and impact assessment and management. So this is a relevant piece of legislation in the sense that this is legally binding. Now I'd like to address with a bit more detailed regulatory framework of the European Union. I'm now talking about the Artificial Intelligence Act. This was approved in August 2024, even if its application is gradual, and it will be fully applicable in 2026. It is a proportionate and binding rules based on potential risks of artificial intelligence use and level of impact on fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are critical here, and what the European Union aims is that all artificial intelligence systems should be categorized according to 4 levels of gravity or relevance, and at one point it is considered that some artificial intelligence systems should not be used at all. These are unacceptable, so they should not enter the market. Then there are high-risk AR systems, and these high risks are the ones that regulators should address in particular, and then we have low and minimal risks. The Portuguese Media Regulatory Entity was appointed by the government as the competent authority for the protection of human rights, namely regarding the democratic processes. So the ERC is also involved in the application of this act, and this system is based on these four categories. This pyramid here is just to illustrate the, let's say, high level, low level, and not acceptable artificial intelligence systems. For example, social recognition and facial recognition are not acceptable. So artificial intelligence systems must comply with these systems that obviously still need to be accredited. So this is an area that needs further development. As I said, this the EU Act, is being implemented, but this is a gradual process that will be concluded in 2026. And during this time, and to help stakeholders to prepare for the full implementation of the Artificial Intelligence Act, during this transitional period, the European Union has developed the Artificial Intelligence Pact, which is about, let's say, create collaborative mechanisms. So trials and experiences are being developed based on voluntary pledges to help the industry to get ready for the full implementation of the Artificial Intelligence Act. So this pact is in line with the existent acts that will be, or that is binding, and this is like a preparatory, or it's a process. This pact is a contribution for the full application of the Artificial Intelligence Act. So these are, in general, some of the tools that are being developed to address the risks and the difficulties, and to avoid a negative social impact of the artificial intelligence, particularly in Europe. Now, I'd like to mention very, very briefly, I'm checking the time. Time flies. But I'd like to say in a very brief way that the ERC, the media regulatory body, the Portuguese media regulatory entity, has issued a first ruling regarding artificial intelligence and elections in 2024. And it has addressed a television segment based on experimental artificial intelligence called the Pulsómetro. This TV segment was based on experimental artificial intelligence to analyze social media discourse related to political parties, candidates during the electoral debates. It was framed as journalistic content, and the ERC has raised a number of concerns about the use of artificial intelligence in this particular case, and this was its first ruling in this area. Summing up the concerns that the media regulator has presented are related with transparency. The ERC was not clear about the level of transparency for viewers, so it could be confusing for citizens to try to assess and to understand if this piece was done by journalists or in cooperation with the artificial intelligence. So there were issues regarding transparency. It was also an experimental use of artificial intelligence without prior evaluation, and this was done during an electoral process, which entails more risks. And there was also humanizing language using concepts like measuring the pulse or the sentiment of social networks, which might be unclear for the audiences in terms of the use of the artificial intelligence tools. So there were concerns, and the ERC has recommended prior system certification, stricter transparency and information provision obligations. So basically, the ERC recommended that the broadcaster should always provide a link also to more detailed information on the functioning of the artificial intelligence model. So I'm just finishing. This is my last slide. I realize I'm speaking a few minutes more than I was expecting. So basically, I'd say that the challenges we are facing are, in a way, the challenges we always face when new technologies develop. There are always fears and hopes, but there are indeed uncertainties regarding the applications of the EU Act and its impact on the media sector, and there are uncertainties related with development of these artificial intelligence tools. So there are uncertainties about the technology and the mechanisms of implementation to make sure that these systems are not negative for the democratic functioning. There are also challenges regarding training and literacy needs. It's important to make sure that training is there for media professionals, for journalists, for citizens, to try to understand the implications of the use of artificial intelligence. We are also aware of the difficulties of balancing regulation with editorial autonomy and the room for innovation. So I'd say to close this presentation that the first steps have been taken. There's still a long walk ahead, and nothing can be taken for granted. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Helena Souza, for your insightful comments and perspectives. Before moving on to our next keynote speaker, let me just briefly salute Professor Nazif Kungur, the rector of Uskudar University, Professor Daniela Fonseca in representation of the UTAD rector, all the delegates, all the friends, members of the organizing and scientific committee. This is a joint conference between Portugal and Turkey, and this is actually the first time that UTAD and Uskudar University are linked by the same string, we would say, the string of science and education. Our next guest lives in the other side of the string in Istanbul. Professor Halil Nalçoglu, I hope the surname is correct, is a full professor at Istanbul Bilgi University. He earned his PhD from the University of Massachusetts, where he presented his doctoral thesis on display zones, modernity, and constitution of cultural differences. Professor Halil's publications include works around communication, internet, artificial intelligence, and deconstruction of cultural differences. Since 2000, Professor Halil has designed and coordinated countless research projects, including UNICEF, TÜBİTAK, and also the European Commission's Civil Society Development Project. He served as Dean of the Faculty of Communication at Istanbul Bilgi University between 2011 and 2023, and has been the coordinator of several undergraduate and graduate programs in media and communication systems. Right now, he's a faculty member at this very same university and the founding director of the Istanbul Institute of Communication. Professor Halil will address the following topic: from inquiry to probability, the transformation of knowledge and education in the age of AI. Welcome, Professor. Thank you very much for being in that side of the room. Merhaba. You may proceed. Thank you very much.
Fabio, and thank you very much for this long introduction. So I actually will skip introducing myself, which actually has been done perfectly. Thank you again. So I actually would just like to share my slides, if I can. There it is. I don't know if you're able to see it now.
Yes, Professor.
Perfect. So I'd like to begin actually by congratulating Üsküdar University and UTAD on this important collaboration. As my colleagues have indicated earlier on, I hope we are witnessing the early steps of a long-term and growing partnership. My sincere thanks go to the leadership of Üsküdar University for inviting me to be part of this event, particularly to Rector Naziferi Güngör, the administrations of both universities, and of course to my dear friend Süleyman İrvan. It is indeed a privilege to speak at NEWPATH, a name actually that resonates profoundly in this era of AI, where we find ourselves navigating in an unprecedented trajectory, one that challenges our understanding of knowledge, creativity, and the very nature of human agency, in fact. So the title of my speech may seem a bit cryptic at first, but in the next few minutes, you'll see that I will keep things simple without getting too caught up in the philosophical side of the subject. Still, I'll begin with philosophy for a reason. As you know, the question of truth has long been a concern for thinkers, especially in epistemology, and post-structuralist thought in particular has treated truth as something unreachable. Some have even placed it entirely within the realm of theology. Yet, in the last decade, the term post-truth has gained unexpected weight. It is as if something has happened in the world that has suddenly made this concept, which philosophers kind of set aside, impossible to ignore. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that this postponement, this setting aside, is over. But it is clear that both the political and cultural shifts of our time, along with technological developments, have made the question of truth more urgent than before. And that is why I'm here today to think through the relationship between AI and truth, while also sharing some thoughts on education, I guess a field that concerns most of us here directly. So I have some slides prepared by ChatGPT, so I don't take any responsibility for the quality of the slides. But anyhow, I put these slides just to let the audience track the names and concepts that I will be talking about. So the transformation of information, knowledge, truth in an increasingly digital world is reshaping intellectual and social structures, that's for sure. The rise of artificial intelligence and digital technologies is not merely altering how knowledge is produced, shared, and consumed, it is reconfiguring the very foundations of meaning-making. This transformation is not a neutral or purely technical evolution, but a process deeply entangled with power, shaping new asymmetries and reinforcing existing inequalities across cultural, educational, and social domains. Understanding these dynamics requires not only examining who controls the architectures of information, whose knowledge is amplified and whose is rendered invisible, but also critically engaging with the philosophical foundations of these concepts, especially the notion of truth. Before turning to the implication of these changes for education, so I find it necessary to trace a philosophical trajectory that situates truth with shifting epistemological frameworks from classical thought to contemporary digital realities. First, I will examine how the concept of truth has been shaped in philosophy, exploring the foundations and social implications. So by tracing its evolution across different epistemological traditions, I will establish a framework for understanding how truth operates in contemporary digital environments. In the second part of my talk, I will turn to the role of education system in the face of this transformation, questioning how it may contribute to new forms of inequality. This shift not only reconfigures access to knowledge, but also raises fundamental questions about the nature of truth itself. I will ask whether truth remains something that can be accessed in a stable or objective sense, or whether it is increasingly subject to manipulation in a digitalized world. So let me begin with a few observations. Well, throughout the history, those who control the production and distribution of information have manipulated it to serve their own interests by distorting facts, disseminating falsehoods, or rendering truth invisible altogether. Misinformation and disinformation are not new phenomena. What has changed is their speed and scale, which are amplified by digital media. My second observation is this: while disinformation has always existed, only in the modern era today has it been recognized as a systematic problem requiring countermeasures. Fact-checking, for instance, emerged as a direct response to the information pollution or disarray of the digital age and rapidly become institutionalized. Today, the sheer velocity and impact of misinformation have made verification mechanisms indispensable. This development underscores the need for a new critical framework that not only evaluates the quality of information, but also places credibility at its core. In other words, misinformation and disinformation is not a phenomenon unique to digital age or artificial intelligence, but the radical transformation in technology has made misinformation and disinformation a major problem today. So what is the reason for this? So let me take a look at the history of philosophy. The search for truth has been a central concern in every era of philosophical thought, shaping epistemological frameworks and influencing broader intellectual traditions. In The Republic, Plato's allegory of the cave presents truth as something beyond the realm of sensory perception, accessible only through rational contemplation of the world of ideas. Descartes, seeking indubitable certainty, employed radical doubt as a method, arriving at cogito ergo sum as the foundational principle of knowledge. In contrast, Locke, for instance, in an essay concerning human understanding, grounded truth in empirical experience, investigating the origins and limits of human knowledge through sensory perception. Well, moving forward, Kant, in Critique of Pure Reason, challenged this empiricist view, arguing that knowledge is not a mere reflection of experience, but it is structured. It is actually structured by a priori categories of reason, thereby setting the boundaries of what can be known. Hegel, in Phenomenology of Spirit, departed from both rationalist and empiricist traditions, proposing that truth is neither static nor individually attained, but emerges through the dialectical unfolding of history and consciousness. These philosophical trajectories reveal not only shifting conceptions of truth, but also enduring question of whether truth is something discovered, constructed, or continually redefined within the structures of human thought. What unites these philosophical traditions is their reliance on human reason and the senses as the foundation for questioning the nature of truth. From Plato's ideal realm of forms to Kant's transcendental categories and Hegel's dialectical unfolding of consciousness, truth has been treated as something to be discovered, structured, or realized through human cognition. Here, there is an exception, actually, in this trajectory. Nietzsche offered a radical rupture in this long-established tradition. On Truth and Lies, in a non-moral sense, he challenges the very notion of truth, declaring it to be, I quote, a mobile army of metaphors, metonymies, and anthropomorphisms, a construct born from the human needs rather than objective reality. Truth for Nietzsche is not an immutable essence, but a set of illusions we collectively accept to navigate existence, a fiction that legitimizes both existential anxieties and will to power. Unlike his predecessors, Nietzsche does not see truth as a noble pursuit, but as a constraint that stifles life's vitality. He argues that the human obsession with truth suppresses instinct, creativity, and the ability to affirm life in its multiplicity. Instead of truth as an ultimate goal, he places life itself with its dynamism, contradictions, and forces of becoming at the center of philosophical inquiry. This break has had profound consequences for modern thought, contributing to the skepticism and relativism that characterize contemporary perspectives on knowledge. In an era where the authority of grand narratives is increasingly questioned, Nietzsche's critique remains, I think, deeply relevant, forcing us to reconsider whether truth is an endpoint to be reached or an instrument that serves particular historical and social functions. While Nietzsche's rupture with traditional notions of truth has profoundly influenced contemporary thought, as I said, particularly among philosophers who are often associated with the term postmodernism. His critique of truth as an illusion shaped by human needs and power dynamics laid the groundwork for questioning universal objective claims to knowledge. This skepticism finds its echoes in the works of thinkers, I just picked three, such as Jean-François Lyotard, Michel Foucault, and Jacques Derrida, each of whom in different ways actually problematized the very foundations of truth. Lyotard, in The Postmodern Condition, famously declared the end of grand narratives, arguing that universal explanatory frameworks, whether grounded in science, religion, or ideology, no longer hold authority in such a fragmented and pluralistic world. Michel Foucault takes this critique further by examining how truth is embedded within the structures of power. In Discipline and Punish, and also in the History of Sexuality, he argues that knowledge is not neutral, but produced through institutional mechanisms that define what counts as truth. Jacques Derrida, through his deconstructive critique of language, challenges the very possibility of fixed meaning. In Of Grammatology, he introduces the concept of difference, which implies that meaning is always deferred never fully present or complete. For him, truth is not an immutable structure, but a process of continual reinterpretation and reconstruction. Now, these philosophical trajectories have deeply shaped, I think, the contemporary thought, leading to a pervasive skepticism towards claims of objective truth. In an era of digital information, media fragmentation, and algorithmic influence, the implications of these ideas are more pressing than ever, raising critical questions about how truth is constructed, who controls its dissemination, and whether it remains a viable concept in the age of relativism and uncertainty. Well, the mechanism by which artificial intelligence generates knowledge represents a fundamental departure from all previous systems of thought in the history of philosophy. Traditional epistemological frameworks like empiricism, rationalism, realism, positivism, relativism, subjectivism, each rest on a distinct conception of knowledge, conception of how knowledge is acquired and justified. I'm not going to get into details. So, however, artificial intelligence, and that's my actually main point, marks a rupture with these traditional epistemological models. Rather than engaging in reasoning, direct experience, or search for objective truth, AI generates knowledge by computing the most statistically probable response based on vast data sets it has been trained on. So its process is neither rational deduction nor empirical verification, but an algorithmic construction of probable outputs. In this sense, AI does not know in any philosophical sense, but rather predicts and generates responses based on statistical correlations. This shift, I think, raises profound questions about the nature of knowledge itself and whether AI's output can be meaningfully equated with what has historically been understood as knowledge. As I was saying, Nietzsche defined truth as the sum of illusions, arguing that it serves as a tool for legitimizing the human will to power. Rather than a pursuit of accurate knowledge to understand the world, he saw the quest for truth as a mechanism that reinforces actually power structures by making truth itself functional. Religion, science, politics, in this view, are domains where this mechanism actually operates. A similar dynamic can be observed in artificial intelligence probabilistic approach to knowledge generation. AI does not seek truth in any philosophical sense, as I said. Instead, it calculates the most probable answer based on its training data. This process can lead to outputs that are entirely detached from reality, which are often referred to as Professor Souza mentioned, as machine hallucination. Yet, rather than being treated as a fundamental epistemological issue, this phenomenon is frequently dismissed as a minor technical flaw. We sometimes laugh at it. One can that either be resolved over time or is inconsequential in the broader context of AI's functionality. This response actually reveals an underlying shift. The pursuit of efficiency has taken precedence over the pursuit of truth. If AI-generated knowledge prioritizes utility over veracity, does this technology serve as a tool that enhances human creativity, or does it, as Nietzsche warned, become a new mechanism of illusion, one that suppresses originality and depth in thought? So a common criticism of artificial intelligence in education, let's switch to education, is that students may rely on AI tools instead of engaging their own intellect or creativity and critical thinking skills. In the short term, this raises concerns about intellectual passivity and an increase in work based on superficial knowledge. However, this issue represents only a surface-level challenge, if you ask me, compared to the deeper transformations AI is set to bring to education. The real concern extends far beyond students using AI as a shortcut. The widespread integration of AI into education fundamentally reshapes how knowledge is produced and challenges the core objectives of the education system itself. When AI reduces knowledge to something merely accessible and functional, it risks undermining the role of education in fostering independent thought, creativity, and intellectual depth. If learning becomes less about developing the ability to think and more about retrieving pre-generated answers, the very foundation of intellectual formation, I think, is at stake. Thus, the pressing question is not merely whether AI enables academic dishonesty, but rather, how does AI's increasing presence in education affect students' intellectual independence and their capacity for critical thinking? So by altering the learning to think process, we are witnessing a shift where deep engagement with knowledge is gradually eroded. The challenges posed by AI in education extend beyond the weakening of individual thinking, I think, and critical reasoning. They also contribute to growing societal inequalities. While digitalization and AI-driven tools are often seen as democratizing forces in education, their widespread use has, in reality, deepened the digital divide rather than bridging it. The assumption that technological advancements create equal learning opportunities is, to me, quite misleading. For instance, case studies from Silicon Valley elementary schools and alternative education institutions such as Waldorf schools illustrate two divergent trends. On the one side, there is an increasing emphasis on technology-driven, innovative teaching methods designed to foster creativity and independent thinking. On the other, large segments of society are increasingly reliant on digital tools that prioritize ease and efficiency over depth and intellectual engagement. This growing disparity raises a critical question. Is AI in education truly expanding access to knowledge, or is it reinforcing existing inequalities by shaping distinct educational experiences based on privilege and access to high-quality learning environments? This emerging inequality is not merely about access to information. It is about how information is processed, integrated, and cultivated through intellectual engagement. So while lower income groups are increasingly reliant on vast amounts of rapidly accessible yet often unverifiable digital content, which I call information ecstasy, privileged segments of society benefit from education that prioritizes deep knowledge, critical thinking, and creativity. Now, this divergence reinforces structural inequalities, creating a divide between those who engage with knowledge critically and those who are merely passive consumers of information, ultimately restricting the intellectual autonomy. I guess you all observe from the learning habits of your students, I do, that many of my students actually increasingly turn to social media platforms such as TikTok for information rather than engaging with structured, knowledge-based educational content. These platforms designed for rapid consumption rarely encourage critical reflection or deep understanding. As a result, a significant portion of society, like the students I encounter daily, is left engaging with fragmented, surface-level information rather than acquiring knowledge through analytical inquiry. This shift raises profound concerns about the future of intellectual independence and the broader role of education in fostering informed, critically engaged individuals. Within this framework, digitalization in education is not merely a technological issue, but a profound socioeconomic and cultural transformation that reshapes power dynamics in society. If only certain segments develop critical thinking and creativity, while the majority can access only fragmented, easily consumable information through digital technologies, this reinforces social inequalities and fosters intellectual homogenization. In such a scenario, education ceases to be a means of individual empowerment and instead becomes a key force in reproducing existing social structures. Assessing the impact of digitalization and artificial intelligence in education with precision is crucial to preventing these emerging inequalities. Without conscious intervention, education systems risk evolving into mechanisms that do not merely nurture individual potential, but also sustain and deepen social stratification. So if left unguided, unregulated, artificial intelligence and digital technologies could become not just tools for learning, but instruments that further entrench disparities in access to meaningful knowledge. Well, ultimately, the influence of digitalization and AI in education extends far beyond individual learning, as I said. It is a transformative force that reshapes societal structures and deepens inequalities. The increasing emphasis on easily accessible yet superficial information over deep knowledge-based inquiry accelerates this divide, posing a direct threat to the cultivation of critical thinking and creativity. In particular, the dominance of rapid consumption digital environments such as social media fosters a culture where the accuracy of information is seldom questioned. In this context, fostering awareness and strategic intervention is imperative to ensure that education remains not only a space for intellectual and creative growth, but also a force for social equity rather than an engine of inequality. Thank you very much for your patience, and I'm now stopping the sharing of my slides.
Thank you very much, Professor Halil Nalçoğlu. I would like to thank again both the keynotes because they stick into the time, so we have the opportunity to discuss, to chat, and make all the questions raised by the audience. So, I will ask participants to raise their hands to make comments, remarks, questions, and then our guests will try to answer. So I don't know if who's available now to start. Okay, Professor Suleiman.
Hello. I would like to ask Helena Souza about how regulations are implemented in Portuguese by the journalists. How do they react to the regulations on artificial intelligence as well, obviously?
Okay.
Can we collect another
Did you get the question?
Shall I
Okay, so
reply?
Professor.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Okay, Professor Helena, you may answer as we wait for another round of questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Solomon, for this question. I'd like to let you know that in Portugal, we are still in the early stages of using legislation to implement artificial intelligence regulations. This is still we are still in very early stages, but with the legislation we have so far, we had the opportunity to prepare one single deliberation of the media regulatory entity regarding the use of artificial intelligence during the electoral period. So this, at the moment, this happened only once with the existing tools we have. So we had the opportunity to let a television channel know that they should not use experimental artificial intelligence tools during the elections without previous accreditation of this system, because there are risks involved, and also because of the way they were putting forward the results of this artificial intelligence system used. They were putting this information as if they were measuring the sentiment or the pulse of social media, and we thought that this could transmit to the audiences that there is more than statistical feedback. There was a different kind of knowledge, as Professor Alili just mentioned. You see, so the use of artificial intelligence is basically a statistical use or probabilistic use, and the audience should know how it is used. They should know when journalists are producing the information, when the machine is producing the information, or if there is a combination of these two modes of information production. So what we consider with this first deliberation was that the Portuguese audience deserves a clear feedback regarding the use of artificial intelligence. But we are still in the very early stages. We are the AI EU Act, the European Union Act on Artificial Intelligence, which is binding, but is still being prepared in some areas, because it requires accreditation systems, assessment systems of what is high risk, what is unacceptable, and all these processes will take place until 2026. So unfortunately, I would say that the tools are being developed very, very fast, and they are everywhere, as I tried to show in my very first slides, but the legislation is still behind. So we are struggling with few tools. So we are in, I would say, risky stage where artificial intelligence is widespread, and the media regulatory media regulatory entities are still looking for the right tools to be able to defend citizens, readers, audiences from the risks of artificial intelligence. These risks are very real. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to let me say
Thank
this.
you very much.
Thank you. I think Professor Halil wants to mention.
Yeah, I was looking for the mark to raise my hand. I couldn't find it on my screen, so I actually would like to ask again a question to Professor Souza. First of all, thank you very much for such a clear, crystal clear presentation, letting us know what the regulatory framework is all about. And one of your slides, Professor, there was this reverse pyramid, which kind of categorizes risks of using AI which is, I guess, so high risk is like facial recognition and social scoring. It goes like this. And
Yeah.
I actually read this pyramid as a pyramid of countries or regions, like, beginning from EU to China. So I wonder, how would you, what's your predictions, what's your insights on the global, actually international implications of regulations, which doesn't seem to be operating quite well. So.
Well, the framework I was putting forward was, let's say, a Western framework based on OECD data and looking in particular to the European Union. So I would say that different regions in the globe have very different approaches regarding artificial intelligence. In this presentation, I didn't put forward any information regarding China, but China is known for using different kinds of artificial intelligence, being apparently quite normal facial recognition, emotional recognition, social rating, and all these things. In Europe, at least legally, this is not acceptable. So the EU Artificial Intelligence Act puts in the, let's say, narrow space of this pyramid, this kind of emotional appropriation based on artificial intelligence. So if the laws are applied, if we have the capacity to ensure that this doesn't happen, according to the law, this should not happen. The faces of European or Western, let's put it this way, citizens should not be used to grasp the information for advertising or for whatever use companies might wish to make. So I would say that in legal terms, this is high risk. It's unacceptable. Shouldn't happen. But now the real issue is how to implement this unacceptable level. Where are the mechanisms to make sure that this doesn't happen? The entities like the ERC, we will have competencies regarding artificial intelligence in the area of high risk, not on what is not acceptable. So some other entity should ban from the market, or better, should prevent from entering into the market this kind of artificial intelligence services. This should not happen in Europe. But let's see.
Thank you.
Okay, we are fast approaching the final part of our session, this keynote session, but I think we have time for a little and short comment question from the audience before closing this part of the program. So if anyone wants to raise her hand, okay, so we will end this session. Okay, so thank you very much again for having us in this keynote session with Professor Helena Souza and Professor Helena, yes?
Professor Fabio, I would like to express my gratitude again for this invitation. It was such a pleasure being with you and with everybody from Turkey and from Portugal. It was a very interesting session. I learned a lot also from the more philosophical and epistemic reflections from Professor Ali. It was such a pleasure being with you. Thank you very, very much. Look forward to continue these debates. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you
you
again.
Professor. Same
Again,
here,
also
actually.
mention to Professor Halil Nalçoğlu for his commitment and presentation as well.
I actually share the same feelings with Professor Souza, and I learned a lot. And I wonder if you could get hold on. I took some notes, but it'd be great to get hold on her slides so that we will not forget the names and places. So maybe conference organizers could arrange something so that I could get access to
my
it.
pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah,
By the way, Fabio, thank you very much for this very nice moderating.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
let's
much.
hope that we see each other in person at some point in time. So that I should mark as a little notice to the organizers.
Thank you, Professor. I will invite you now for a short break until 10:15 because we are going to start the communications and presentations session. The first one starts at 10:15. Will be moderated by Sinan Anchi from Dublin University. So we will meet in 10 minutes. Thank you again.